Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is November 19th, 2025, and we are in the New Testament book of John. We're going to read chapter 11, verse 55 to chapter 12, verse 19 today. So John has been talking about Lazarus and raising Lazarus from the dead. He's going to give us a little quick transition, talk about Passover again, that it's Passover. This is the third Passover John mentions, so that's where we get Jesus having a 3-year ministry. And we're getting into 6 days before the Passover, so this is the Passion Week, the last week of Jesus' earthly ministry before he's crucified. And we're going to come back to Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and we're going to see some events here. And we want to see worship, true worship in action. That's a popular thing. Oh, what's true worship? And you'll see a lot of people, oh, worship has a sound. Oh, if you're not running around screaming and yelling, you're not really worshiping. Throw all that out the window. We're going to see an example of true worship because we're going to see Martha, who's called by the Spirit to worship Jesus through serving him. And she serves him with all of her heart, with all of her mind, with all of her spirit. That's worship. We're going to see Lazarus. He's called to worship Jesus, and he's called to worship him with his life and eating and drinking and saying, wow, look at what Jesus gave me back. I was dead and now have been risen. And he's going to live his life with gusto, with all of his mind, with all of his heart, with all of his spirit. And then we're going to see Mary, and Mary is going to weep and anoint him, dry her tears off his feet with her hair. And Jesus gives us the clue to understand what she's doing there, because he mentions that she's acknowledging his death. So she's acknowledging the sacrifice he's going to make. Somehow she understands that he's making this great sacrifice on her behalf, and that's how she's worshiping, by meditating on that sacrifice of Jesus with all of her heart, with all of her mind, with all of her spirit. That's true worship. God is my focus for all of my mind, focus for all of my heart, focus for all of my spirit. God, or whether it's Father, Son, and or Holy Ghost, that's the focus. I know some people like to say, well, I'm worshiping because I'm grateful for all that he's done for me. That's thanksgiving, not worship. This is worship. God is all in all. When you see the pictures, our word pictures of heaven, and everyone is there worshiping God on his throne, they're not thinking about what he's done for them. It's just holy, holy, holy. God is so holy. That's all that matters. We worship him because he deserves our worship. That's true worship. That's done with all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your spirit, focused entirely on God and nothing else. It might be out loud, it might be contemplative, it might be through action and working, it might just be sitting there with your eyes closed, letting it wash over you. It might be making videos where you're reading the word. It might be watching videos that you're reading. My focus is entirely on God, and just because he's God, that's it. And that's what we see here. None of them are called out as any different, or this one's better than that one. It's just they're all worshiping God the way they're called to worship God. And when they question what Mary does, that's essentially what Jesus tells them is, hey, you know what? Leave her alone. She's worshiping me. Let her worship me the way she wants to worship me. You worship me the way you want to worship me. And then we have the arrival on the donkey. So we see John mesh into the other gospel accounts, and we know for sure that we're in that final week. And we're getting ready to run through the Passion Week. So let's go ahead. We're going to read John chapter 11, verse 55 to 12:19. And the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went from the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then they sought Jesus and spoke among themselves as they stood in the temple. What do you think, that he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a command that if anyone knew where he was, he should report it, that they might seize him. Then 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, who had been dead, whom he had raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of those who sat at the table with him. Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. But one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who would betray him, said, "Why was this fragrant oil not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor?" This he said not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the money box, and he used to take what was put in it. But Jesus said, "Let her alone. She has kept this for the day of my burial. For the poor you have with you always, but me you do not have always." Now a great many of the Jews knew that he was there, and they came, not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might also see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief priests plotted to put Lazarus to death also, because on account of him many of the Jews went away and believed in Jesus. The next day a great multitude that had come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him and cried out, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel!" Then Jesus, when he had found a young donkey, sat on it, as it is written, "Fear not, daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt." His disciples did not understand these things at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things were written about him, and that they had done these things to him. Therefore the people who were with him, when he called Lazarus out of the tomb and raised him from the dead, bore witness. For this reason the people also met him, because they heard that he had done this sign. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, "You see that you are accomplishing nothing. Look, the world has gone after him." May God bless the reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.